everybody, Michelle here with Unicorn Spit. You can find Unicorn Spit at www.unicornspit.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We have a group and we have a page. And as you all know, I'm Michelle Nicole and I'm a home talker as well. Today I'm here to show you how to take the average, everyday, mundane glass top table that you can find at the thrift stores or maybe you have at home and turn them into something modern, really cool, super artistic, and something that you're going to want again. And the ones that I have made and others are selling like crazy. So I'm going to show you how to take the glass and turn it into polished stone. What you're going to need for today's project is, of course, your glass top table. You're also going to use your Unicorn Spit. We have done a demo on how to do it to laminate countertops, and we're going to do this the same way, but in reverse. Super neat. What we did, we diluted our Unicorn Spit with probably about 1 part Unicorn Spit to about 5 to 7 parts water, depending upon the translucency that you want. And we've got these pre-filled. So the colors that we're going to be using today, we're going to be doing 2 different types. We're going to be doing a real jeweled one that's going to look like amethyst and turquoise mix, labradorite. We're going to be using the Purple Hill Majesty, the Navajo Jewel, the Blue Thunder. We're going to mix our Zia Teal and our Dragon's Belly to make a patina color, and black. We're going to do one demonstration on how to do a real semi-precious stone color with this, and then we're going to be doing one that's a little bit more traditional. And for that one, we're going to be doing some Weathered Daydream, some Rustic Reality, and some Squirrel. Again, we've got these all diluted in our spray bottles with water. So 1 part Unicorn Spit to 5 to 7 parts water, just to get them to flow very well through our sprayers. You're also going to need to have some Form Bees tongue oil finish, not just tongue oil finish. It hardens and it penetrates. You're going to need some polyurethane. Then we're going to be doing some really cool veining through the stone. So you can use colors like Copper by Krylon. You can use Rust-Oleum Gold. You can also go with a hammered copper as well. You're going to need to prep your piece by just cleaning it with some Windex, getting any type of residue, any type of buildup, anything like that off to make sure your glass is nice and clean. We're going to have some paper towels handy as well. And you're also going to need a little X-Acto blade set. This is what we're going to be doing our veining with. And if you're like me and you hate waiting, a heat gun helps dry your Unicorn Spit quick and also dry your spray paint a little bit faster. And last but not least, the finishing touch is a little bit of sandpaper. This one is a 120 grit. You don't want to go too rough on it. You even could go a little bit finer. So we're going to get started on our project. I'm going to attempt to carry my little collection of goodies over to the other side here. And here we go. Now this is what I'm using as a table to help me keep everything at hand. I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit to give myself a little walkway. And here we go. Here's our piece of glass that we have here. It's just, I'm just going to demonstrate on a piece of glass that I got out of an old picture frame that I found at a thrift store, which can also be really neat if you put a piece of vinyl down with maybe your favorite saying, or saying live, laugh, love, or something like that on it. It's going to be really neat. The first step that you do, of course, I've already cleaned the glass pretty well, but you're going to want to make sure that it's a nice clean surface, and you're going to want it to be as oil-free as possible. You can also use some alcohol to do this, but the Windex works just fine and it dries really fast. All right, the first one that we're gonna start with is, we're gonna do the polished stone. A lot of you know that I really love turquoise. I love purple. And this is almost the same way that we do the laminate, except it's gonna be a little bit backwards. So we're starting with our midnight blackness. Now what's cool about these little bottles that you get at the dollar store, you can make them into a mist by twisting it close. You can make it into a spray that gives you a bolt by pulling it out far. But to begin, we're gonna go with a mist. You're gonna wanna make sure you keep them nice and shook. And remember, you can use these over and over and over again. Just make sure when you're done, you clean your tips and screw them down tight. So let's get started. I also am going to do this on an angle rather than just straight because I want my veining to kind of come across in an angle. So we're gonna just do some little squirts of the black here and there. Then I'm gonna pull it out real far to give myself a nice, strong bolt going across. Here we go. Now the next color that we're going to use is our patina. Now this is a mixture between the Zia Teal as well as the Dragon's Belly. And we're gonna put this on a mist. We're gonna give this a couple little surface. Here we go. Then we're gonna come in with our Blue Thunder and we're gonna put this on a nice big fat mist. If I can get it to go ahead and practice with it. Make sure you have yourself a little spot to adjust your spray pattern. And that one is going real well. Here we go. I really love the blue. There's a stone called Azure. One of my friends, Lori, told me what it was. And it's one of my favorite stones, and they use it a lot in jewelry. So it's expensive as well. Then we're gonna come in with a little bit of our Navajo jewel. There we go. And we're just gonna give her a little mist here. And we're gonna give this one a little extra because this is one of my favorite colors. The Navajo jewel is like a, oh gosh, a teal color that's really strong and pretty. I really like it a lot. Now when you do this pattern, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're spraying it on a continuous angle. That continuous angle is gonna really help give the effect of the way a stone forms. I'm gonna give that a nice heavy dose of that because I want that to be my main color. Unicorn Spit is a water-based stain and glaze in one that you can dilute with water or use straight to get a multitude of different effects. It pretty much works on any surface. Your imagination's the limit, but the key element to keeping it perfect is using an oil-based sealer. It's a stain, it's a glaze, it's an antiquing little thing. You can whitewash with it or color wash with it. It's just so many different things. You're always welcome to look on our Hometalk. Just put in the keyword unicorn spit and you can see just a plethora of different ways that people have used it and give you step-by-step instructions. Unicorn spit is big on Hometalk, huge, and it is wonderful. So the next color we're gonna go with is Purple Hill Majesty. This color gives me what I think is a amethyst. Amethyst is absolutely my favorite color. And as you know, I did that black in the veining like that with that bolt. Well, I'm gonna do the same with the amethyst, with the Purple Hill Majesty. Just gonna do some little streaks, just like that. There we go. I love it. All right, take a nice little overhead shot and see if these are the colors I'm really liking. And I am. It's already starting to look like a beautiful stone. Throw go a little extra right there. Now I'm going to come back in with my Midnight Blackness, and I'm going to get it pumping, hopefully. There we go. And I'm going to put it on a mist. And what that mist is going to do is going to fill in little gaps that I might have here and there. But I don't want you to worry about completely covering your surface. I'll show you why here in a minute, but the hint is that's what the metallic spray paints are for. Now this one, if you want to zoom in nice and close, you can see we have just, it looks like a piece of stone. It does. You can leave it just like this and keep it with this perfect system, or you could always pick it up from one corner, going with the flow, and give it a little bit of a back and forth to allow the unicorn spit to get even more of a flow, allowing those colors to intermingle. From here, you're just going to leave it just the way it is and let it dry overnight, depending upon your humidity and your temperatures. Or if you have to go fast, you can always from a distance take your heat gun and heat it to dry it. And also at this stage, if you look at it and say, "Oi, I don't like it, I just don't like it," you can always do this so simply, which you can just take a paper towel and you can just wipe it off. It's not like you have to take thinner. You don't have to get all crazy and have to go through a lot of problems to start your project over again. And you use such a small amount of the unicorn spit, you're free to make mistakes. You're free to be able to change it around, because really, when you're using it in this form, which is my dilution ratio I like anyways, you can get pretty much 5 bottles for the price of 1. You just want to make sure you clean it again real well and get it cleaned off. Here we go. We're going to let that dry for a second, and I'm going to just kind of power it through. All right, guys. Well, now you know how to do the jeweled look. Now, a lot of people don't want these extraordinary colors and these big, bright colors. I just love them. I got the most boho gypsy decor style in the world. But a lot of us still like traditional mute. And I'm going to show you how to do like a beautiful granite now. Now those colors we're going to start off with, once again, we're going to start off with our Midnight Blackness. We're also going to do it as an angle as well. So I'm going to turn it on an angle. We're going to put this down to bolt to get our bolts of the black coming through, and open it up just a little bit more. Here we go. A little more. I love the Midnight Blackness. Now we're going to come in with our Weathered Daydream. This color is like weathered barn wood. It looks beautiful on wood. It'll turn any of it looking old and like it's been exposed to the elements. It's a really pretty color. It's one of our newer colors. Took me a long time to figure out how to make this color too. It wasn't the easiest. Shake her up. I'm gonna get our gray in there now. Again, we're following that pattern of spraying it on an angle and allowing it just to fall where it may. Got a nice amount of that on there. Now we're gonna go in with a color called Squirrel. This color, Squirrel, is also diluted with the same mix ratio, is a chestnut color that we offer. So we're going to take this one, we're going to put it to a mist. If I added a little bit more water, I'd be able to get a little bit better of a mist, but the bolts of this color is really beautiful too. When mixed with that gray, it almost gives it its own little copper tone going. That's how we're going to get our nice traditional color scheme going. These are pretty. All right. Now we're going to come in with Rustic Reality. this color is a dark walnut. And we're gonna put that to a nice mist. And I got that one diluted just right. We're gonna come in and we're gonna put that nice dark color in there. As you can see, it's pretty, it's a lot darker than that squirrel is. And I'm gonna use it to really fill in a lot of the gaps. Not all of them. Then once again, we're gonna come in with our midnight blackness on a nice mist. And we're just going to give her the little shot of that dark black coming through so it looks like a beautiful stone. When I was done doing this one, it made me think of like an equestrian or like a thoroughbred horse. You know, the real red, pretty ones. There we go. And I really like this one. And then I'm just going to kind of dabble some random black in there. And if you wanted to, just give it a little bit of pizzazz. You can come in and do a little bit of the turquoise. And that will fall through. And that is the Navajo jewel. That's the teal. I'm sorry. It's not the turquoise. There we go. So again, this is what we have going now. It's a lot more muted. It's not so elaborate. You can always just leave it as is, or you can give it the little side to side little drip so it gets really pretty movement going. And you're just going to allow it to dry. Now again, take your heat gun and you can make the process go a lot faster, or my preference is just to let it sit overnight because the heat gun with the air might move it around a little bit. I'm gonna set this to the side and I'm gonna take you over to our next step. It's pretty neat. Give me 1 second. Give you guys a chance to see what unicorn spit looks like on wood. Those are just a couple of plywood panels. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you what it looks like when it's dry. All right, this is the side. This is after it's dry, okay? Now, don't look at this side. This is what it looks like after it dries. Unicorn spit is so unique. It lets you know when it's dry, when it goes from being that real bright, vibrant color to this chalky finish. And you can keep the chalky finish if you like it. This is that brown. You can keep it like that and just do our next step and skip it, or go to the bright bold colors. For me to get the bright bold colors and to really make it, to me, it feels more like it's a lot more, pops more if I do this step, which is very simple. This is dry, but what I used was a foam brush and just did a light layer of tongue oil finish. This is a penetrating oil and a sealer in one. I really like it a lot. This is my favorite brand of it. I've tried the Watco, but the Watco doesn't seem to dry very fast, and I'm kind of like a go-go kind of girl. So this side, I did the tongue oil. This side, I did not. From there, once it's dry, and you can do this with or without the tongue oil finish, I use my X-Acto knife. This is how we do the veining. You might have to give me a second here. I like to be able to sit down. I need a little bit of a steady hand. So, for this next step, you're gonna get your X-Acto blade. There's a nice little array of different shapes that you can get, but I find the one that is smaller works great. We're gonna do the veining here next. Now you're gonna follow your grain, well, not your grain, what do you call it? Your formation pattern that you put in here. And you're gonna start and decide where it's gonna be. You could do the whole thing, and I've tried that before, but I find that one simple vein going through just looks very classy. Now this is the difference between acrylic paints and you know, the other types of paints and glazes that are on the market. Unicorn spit just chips right off and it doesn't peel up like the other paints you would imagine would. It just kind of just allows you to carve it. And you're gonna take your X-Acto blade, and if you can see here, just brush it off. You use the tip of your X-Acto blade on the side to get these thick little cuts out of there, and then you wiggle it by twisting it side to side, side to side, to get different variations in your veining. So some of them will be thick and some of them will be thin. You don't want to do all of them the same thickness. You also can use the very tip to get these little hairline fractures as well, and those look beautiful. So you can do as much or as little as you want. For me, I kind of feel that less is more and more is less. And here we go. You just want to clear off your surface just by blowing it off. No big cleaning or anything like that. All right, guys, I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna show you what it looks like on the other side now. So you can see that we have this little bolt screaming across our stone. You could do more, you could do less, but for now I'm just gonna make it a little simple and just do this small little hair for you. And the next step that we're gonna do, you're gonna pick your color. There's several colors that you can choose, like I said, and pull them all over there. Okay? Now, you don't have to do the veining. If you don't want to do the veining and you just want to leave it as a regular slab, go ahead and seal it with a couple of coats of fast drying, oil-based, high gloss, spray polyurethane. This will lock your project in. This will just make it so that it's not gonna get all messed up. It's not gonna get all scratched. But now we got a little ventilation going, so not too much. I'm gonna go with this Krylon Premium Copper Brilliance. This spray paint to me is really metallic and it's really beautiful. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna stand back for this and I'm gonna show you what to do. I'm gonna go in with our spray paint now. Ooh, we gotta really shake this stuff up good. So we're just gonna go over, do a nice coat, really concentrating on that area that we did the veining. We wanna make sure it gets nice and covers that. And then remember, I told you guys, don't worry about covering your entire surface very thick. You want it to stay opaque in some areas because that opaqueness is gonna allow the color to shine through the unicorn spit and give you some undertones that'll give you a real nice three-dimensional look to make it look like real polished stone. Now, this product does dry relatively quick. So let me move my chair here. And I'm just gonna heat it up for a second with my heat gun in order to be able to turn her around for you. Now, you don't want your heat gun to be at a really high temperature because remember, the heat gun also performs the duty of stripping paint. So we don't want to get it that hot. And I honestly believe that letting it dry on its own and naturally makes it a lot stronger as well. You can also use other colors besides the golds. You could use the mirrored one. It looks really beautiful. I've used that one before as well, and boy, I'll tell ya, it's gorgeous. Now, that's pretty dry. From here, you're going to look at your project and see if you like it. Now, you can see that the tung oil side's very bold colors. The side that we didn't use the tung oil is more pastel-y. So it's nice to be able to get the variants and be able to get two different looks out of one product. It's very neat. It's all about your sealers. So we have our beautiful bolts of gold or copper going through there. And as you can see, maybe if I lay it down flat, you can see where it was opaque and the copper just kind of comes through. I really love how the copper just bolts through here and there, and it really looks like real copper in stone. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. From here, just to really protect your surface, you're gonna give it a coat or two of the polyurethane. That's gonna help it just become a little more scratch resistant. And if you're at this point and you don't like how it turned out, all you have to do, again, before you do your polyurethane, you can take some of your cleaner, you can take it to the sink, you can take an X-Acto blade if it's really on there, you can scrape it off and go over and over again. And what's really cool is that, say this is your color pattern today that you like in your homes, you're doing the turquoises, the blacks. Well, say, you know, 3 or 4 years from now, you decide to go with oranges and pinks and, you know, tropical colors. You can put them in some water, soak them overnight. It comes completely off, or scrape them off if you don't want to wait, and do it again. So it's pretty neat. Here's a piece over here, just area that I have already done. This is what the labradorite looks like when it's complete. And I did my veining as you see in here, and I used the copper as well. Now you're probably wondering, well, what if it doesn't set down inside of the table and it floats above? Well, this is where you're going to take your piece of sandpaper and you're just going to clean off any of the excess spray paint that you might have, or if you don't have a lot of spray paint excess, just get a piece of paper, a little thing, and just wash it. Because the unicorn spit washes off so easy, makes it nice and simple. And if you get some poly that goes over, or some tung oil that goes over, you can always just scratch it off like you do glass. And now we're done. That's it. It's nice and sealed. Now I'm going to take this piece and bring it over to the table and show you what it looks like when it comes on. Here we go. Now this was a little thrift store find that I found at the Salvation Army for $10. It's actually a copper base. Thought it was really neat. And it looked kind of hokey before, where now it, of course I got to get some more of that stuff off, but here it is when she's all done. I should have brought my little washcloth with me to clean her up, but now she looks like a little piece of jewelry. She's beautiful. She's got her little copper base. She's got her glass, but it looks like a piece of stone. Now we did the same process on these ones as well. I'm going to show you, these are neat, neat, neat. These were a couple that we've seen. We've all seen these little octagon tables. And I used the unicorn spit as a glaze right over the existing finish in just the midnight blackness to give it a more modern feel to it. And this one sits down into the base. And as you can see, these are so simple, they just pop right out. Here's one that I did that I used a little bit more green and purple, and I did my veining real thick up here at the top. It's one of my first tries, but it's very cool. It's very simple, and you can pick these little tables up for about $10 a piece because nobody wants glass. Well, after this, I'm sure a lot more people are going to want glass, and it's going to be really easy for you to have them at home because you can change your style all the time. Not only can you use it on glass top tables like this, but you can also make these beautiful vases by just dripping it around the edges and letting it fall in letting it dry, and then spray painting the interior to get your little bolts of gold, just to make some little pieces that correspond and match. You can also do it on any little vase, any little color that you can imagine, you can do it. This one here, I did the side to side when it was wet, so it would fade to one direction or fade to the other direction. This one, I just allowed it to sit still and dry without doing the angle to make it run, and it turned out really neat. And I used Rust-Oleum gold in the background here and did not do any veining at all. But that's it, you guys. Unicorn Spit is just such a multi-purpose little product that can give you these really artistic little things, helps you think outside of the box. And you know, Hometalk is just a plethora of information on how you can use it, from redoing your brick to making it look more romantic and aged and less, you know, industrial, to doing beautiful pieces of fabric as well. You can do galaxies like I did on my IKEA hack. There's just a multitude of different ways that you can use it, and there's nothing stopping you, you guys. It is so cool, it's so fun. Hometalk's full of tutorials to show you how to do each and every little thing that you can think of. All right, guys, well, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, you can find Unicorn Spit at www.unicornspit.com. You can find us on Facebook. We have a page. We also have a group, so don't hesitate to join if you have some more questions. And till we see you guys again, always let your creative juices flow.